Back by popular demand, we have Colby Chaos Covington back here on the program off his win over Jorge Masvidal at UFC 272. Colby, how's it going, man?
Hey James, going well. How you doing, buddy? How's the family?
My family's doing great, man. Appreciate you asking. I got to know, how confident were you going into this fight in particular with the fact that you had trained extensively with Masvidal in the past, so you knew his habits way more so than some other opponents that you faced?
Yeah, absolutely. I knew I was Jorge Masvidal's daddy from the start. I knew I was the king of Miami. So deep down inside, George knew that too. So, the biggest thing about George, of course he's a deadbeat father and he's a middle of the road fighter. And we all knew he was going to lose to me, but at least he tried, James. I'm proud of him for actually trying. So, it's funny, James, because where was his team? Where was, I know you've interviewed Dan Lambert. Where was Dan Lambert? Dan Lambert wasn't in the building. So all these people, they didn't believe in their guy. Like, they didn't think he had any chance to win. Like, they knew it was a foregone conclusion that Colby Chaos Covington, the king of Miami, was just going to absolutely decimate, this clown Judas from the history books. So it's pretty funny that nobody showed up to support him. But, guess what, James? He tried. At least he tried.
Anything about Masvidal surprise you at all in the fight? Maybe something you weren't expecting?
No, not at all. It's exactly how I expected to go. Win every second of the fight. 50-44 in a soda, his bitch ass. So that's exactly what I knew was going to happen. I beat him every single round. It wasn't even competitive, James. I walked out of the fight like, damn, I could fight again. I'm ready to go 5 more rounds in the parking lot with someone who wants to go, But I noticed, nobody was in the building. Dustin Poirier was supposed to be in the building, but he left the country because he was so afraid of me and he was afraid of not being in Vegas to support his friend George Masvidal. So, yeah, man, I'm scaring people out of the country now. Not even the continental U.S. He had to leave to somewhere else outside the continental U.S.
After the fight, I know you kind of got into it with one of the media members, and I just was curious, what did you think of the coverage on your end coming into the fight?
Very biased against me, and just the headlines, like even that clown Kevin Iole, like talking some shit, like, oh, George isn't as real, or Colby's not as real as his counterpart George, and just fake misleading headlines. None of these journalists can write without their feelings anymore. They're so deep in their feelings and their personal hate that they can't even write impartial journalism. So it's too bad. It's too bad to see, but that's why I'm here to call them out. Like, what are you going to talk about and try and belittle fighters and say what they're deserving of and not deserving of? What are you talking about? Like, you're not even the best journalist in your town, let alone the burger flipper in your town. Like, how do you think you deserve to talk about the best fighters in the entire world that put it all on the line? So, and that you guys are using us, not you in particular, but the other journalists, they're only there for one thing, to get a clickbait. That's why they're the clickbait merchants. So for them to try and just have their opinion and just be so biased against me is just, I'm gonna start calling them out.
What did you make of people comparing this fight leading up to, like, oh, remember what happened last time when a wrestler fought Masvidal, comparing you to Ben Askren? Did that bother you at all? Just because, I mean, completely different situations in terms of where both of you were at your stages of the career. Obviously, you're in your prime right now. Askren, I think people would agree, was past his prime. Did that bother you at all?
I mean, Ben Askren is Ben Askren. He got melted in the fastest knockout in UFC history. The guy's still a virgin. He had to get his kids with test tubes. We knew that was science to get his kids because he's a 40-year-old virgin, Napoleon Dynamite looking motherfucker. But completely different fight. I'm James. I'm one of the. If you ask the people, they probably tell you I'm the pound for pound number one, and that's how I feel. I feel like I beat Usman coming off my fight in November, so I'm the number one pound for pound people's champion. So. That's what I'm going to keep doing, is just winning big fights and just absolutely dominating these guys, not giving them any hope, any chance. They're not going to get no lucky knockouts. There is no lucky submissions. This is just straight domination and getting beaten to a pulp.
There was also people, and I've heard this for a while, people saying Colby's not a draw. You look at the Robbie Lawler fight and all this stuff when it comes to comparing numbers, but here you are headlining a card against Masvidal. It's not for a title, and you guys, still headline the card over some other fights as well. Do you think this sort of settles that argument if the UFC's putting you two in a main event on a pay-per-view when there's not a title on the line? Do you feel like that sort of silences those critics?
I mean, there was definitely a title on the line, James. I'm getting coronated this weekend. It will be my coronation. I'm going to get my King of Miami title, my belt, and now I fight for this city, the 305. That's who I'm repping for. I put the mouth guard in Masvidal's face afterwards. I'm like, yeah, that's right, bitch. Miami, king of fucking Miami, 2 crowns next to it. So represent and bow down to the king. And you know, it's an honor to be the champion of the 305.
Yeah, I saw your interview with Submission Radio. When are you actually getting the belt? When's this? When do you plan on getting it?
I have it being shipped in now, and it's going to be a great big deal. You know, we're going to have a good celebration for it, and should be here by this weekend. So stay tuned to my Instagram, Colby Cov MMA. You can find lots of insightful, you know, things about, you know, the best fighter in the game and the title that he's receiving. It's the most prestigious title in UFC and combat sports history, James. So, you know, it's an honor to be the king of Miami and have to represent that title now.
Also in that interview, you mentioned about, you know, a return date, possibly this summer. Would International Fight Week, is that kind of what you're looking at? Or do you want to headline your own card and not be involved in all that? What's sort of your preference?
No, International Fight Week would be great because, you know, it's the biggest fight week of the year every year. Everybody knows that's the event and the fight week where it's surrounded by big fights and big pay-per-views, the middle of the summer. So it makes sense. You know, it's like 3 or 4 months away. It's perfect timing for me to get back in there. I was healthy. I'd be ready to fight right away. You know, if the UFC needs me to save a pay-per-view, best believe Colby Chaos Covington has got his hand raised and he'll come to the party to save the day. So, you know, I love Hunter Campbell over at the UFC. He's doing a great job over there, building a great business. Dana White, all the associates and corporate guys over at UFC, man, they're just killing it. And you know, I just want to keep doing good business from them, putting on the biggest and best fights. But yeah, July International Fight Week sounds like a perfect time. You know, it makes sense with who I want to fight. You know, Dustin. And the reason I want to fight him, James, is I'm not calling out little guys. The guy said it's on site with me, and he's the one that's trying to fight at 170 or in my weight class right now. So he's trying to fight the crippled guy with a list, Nate Diaz, but he doesn't want to fight the man. You know, if he wants to be the man, he needs to beat the man. I'm the man right now. I'm the number one guy. He said hopes and dreams, aspirations, titles, this and that. I'm the guy. I'm the title. I'm the best and biggest fight for Dustin, you know. So he keeps saying I'm trying to make money off his name. Bro, I'm giving you the biggest opportunity off your name you can get. So Nate's going to fight Conor. That fight's not going to happen. He's going to be the odd man out. And it makes sense. Just let's build this big blockbuster pay-per-view for July International Fight Week.
One of the criticisms I heard from people is that, oh, Colby's calling out a lightweight, but I know you've told me in past interviews, Poirier actually weighs more than you. How much does he weigh, do you know?
Yeah, every time we would step on the scale, he was usually like 185, 188. Like I've seen him as heavy as 188. So I'm 182, 183. I don't ever get above 185. I'm just a small, lean guy, you know, and I'm always doing cardio in the bedroom with all my mamacitas. So you can imagine, like, I'm burning calories at a constant rate, and my weight is just always being kept down. So he's a bigger guy than me, but Dustin Poirier is a weight bully. He has to have all this weight advantage on these guys to feel like he's the bigger and better guy and has more power. So I just fight at my natural weight. You know, I can cut in the middle of 155. We can do a catch weight 165, 162, something like that. That's easy money for me. I just don't want to cut all the way to 55 because it's just I don't need to. I don't want to ruin my life just have to go a month straight of eating vegetables and chicken and fish. You know, no, I want to be able to enjoy my life and what I've worked for. You know, I achieved the American dream. The thing, what I've done and built my business and my life up from is the complete, you know, story and definition of the American dream. So I'm very thankful, you know, for everything I have, and I just want to keep enjoying life and doing what I love, fighting. But you know, I want to fight in my natural weight class and just, you know, keep improving.
When was the last time you spoke to the UFC? I think people know this, but I'll remind them anyways. You don't have a manager, so you deal with them directly. So there's no, you know, middleman, no BS or anything like that. When was the last time you spoke to them?
Yeah, I was speaking with them a little bit last week, and you know, I think they know what's best for business and what makes sense, you know, on all ends, from the UFC business, Colby Chaos Covington business, and everything. So, you know, the future is super bright. It's just going to be big fights, giving all the fights that fans want. That's what it's all about, giving the people what they want, you know. So I love representing people and fighting for the people. So whatever they want and the UFC wants, what does good business for the UFC, I'm excited for what's to come. You know, being the number one pound for pound people's champion right now, you know, I have a big honor to uphold. So I'm working extremely hard for the next time, you know, I get the opportunity to go out there and steal a pay-per-view show again.
Do you get the sense they want the Poirier fight as well? What are you sort of getting from them as far as what they want next for you?
I think they're looking, you know, at the chalkboard, and they're like, you know, how can we maneuver this and do the best, you know, to utilize this guy in his prime, because I'm in my prime. So that's why I want to fight so often and not have to wait around. So I just want to give the biggest and best fights. You know, of course I want to fight Usman again, but he's going to be out for a while with his hand surgery. So, that fight makes sense. Even all the fans were asking him, hey, man, you need to do a third fight. You didn't beat Colby in Madison Square Garden convincingly. It was not convincing. Like, I won that fucking fight. The people in Madison Square Garden last November knew who won that fight when the dust was settled. So he knows he needs to come out and convince himself, and he needs to prove that he's truly the best in the world. He didn't prove he's the best in the world last fight, and that's why I'm the number one pound-for-pound people's champion. But that's down the road. He's got the injury, so Dustin makes sense. He wants to come up. He said it's Vulcan season. He wants to come up to 170. He's saying, he wants to fight the cripple guy with the list, Nate Diaz, the Stockton Soy boys. So you want to fight him at 170. Okay, that fight's not going to happen because Nate's going to fight Conor. That fight's going to happen. It's best business for the UFC. Best business for Dustin. The biggest money fight he can get is Colby Chaos Covington. We got the backstory at our old gym. I had to give a fucking fake apology to that douchebag Louisiana swamp trash. A fake apology, James. They made me, man. Dan did me dirty, man. I had to do this fake apology like I cared about that piece of shit, swamp trash, dirtbag, tax riding, fake charity, motherfucker. So that fight needs to happen, man. He's bulking season. He wants to fight at 170. I'm his money fight. So if he wants to do it, if he wants to keep any honor and dignity, James, for him, his family, for his team, for his friend, any honor and dignity, he needs to come fight me. Otherwise, he's going to have to look in the mirror every day and know he's a bitch and a coward.
Is Israel Adesanya number 2 on that list if Poirier doesn't come to fruition? I know you've expressed interest. Chael Sonnen wants the fight. It seems like a really exciting matchup. And I'll add that a second part to it. Do you think it's a good sign that they haven't officially booked Adesanya and Jared Cannonier, so there may be an option to slip in there?
Yeah, I think it makes sense. I'm working my way up the pound-for-pound list, and I believe I'm the number 1 pound-for-pound fighter. So that's what he does. He fights up and down. So that's a viable fight. That's a possible fight, and I love the matchup. I think it's a great matchup for me. He's a pretty good kickboxer, pretty good. He wasn't like the best. I've seen him get knocked out a few times before. So he's a pretty good kickboxer. He keeps his range. He's good with that, but he's never fought a well-rounded martial artist like myself, a guy who grew up in blue-collar, hard, grueling wrestling, American wrestling. Like that shit's not stoppable, James. It's not just a moniker that we don't get tired and we just can outwork everybody. That's what America's founded on. And the heroes that protected our freedoms here in America, the military, the first responders, and it's just you get dragon energy from that. And he can't stop the dragon energy coming. So if that fight could happen, I would love it. But he doesn't want that fight. He knows better than that. He knows it's a bad matchup. He knows he can't beat Usman, and I'm the last guy that beat Usman. So he knows it's a bad matchup for him.
What did you make, speaking of Usman, what did you make of Usman's manager saying that Usman wanted to fight Adesanya? Adesanya comes out and basically called him out on it. What did you see? Did you happen to see that?
Yeah, I thought that was so hilarious, and it's the perfect, reason why I don't have a manager. No one represents me. I speak from my heart. I speak the truth, and that's why people respect me, because I'm honest. I talk the talk, but I walk the walk, and I'm real as they come. Yeah, I can be brutally real sometimes, and it hurts people's feelings, but it's still real, it's still truth and facts. So yeah. I thought that was pretty funny that he came out and was speaking about his fighter and giving thoughts on his fighter when that's not how his fighter was thinking. So, no one can speak for me. Colby Chaos Covington Incorporated, I speak for myself, and you want to talk about complaints, you got the complaints to give, send it to the head of the complaints department, the CEO, Colby Chaos Covington.
I know in the interview as well, you mentioned Khamzat Chimaev. He's fighting Gilbert Burns. And, you sort of mentioned how he's got to fight a contender. And Burns is ranked fairly high in that weight class. Do you think Khamzat will beat Burns? Because obviously a lot of people are going on the hype train. He's the betting favorite. Do you think Burns will be able to get it done, or do you see Chimaev doing it?
I don't pay attention to journey and jobbers, James, to be honest. Like, I'm worrying about the biggest and best fights in the company. Just Dustin, he's like 5 or 6 guy on the pound for pound list. So if you're so pound for pound and so good, then come fight someone that's at your weight class. You weigh more than me, Dustin. So this fight needs to happen. So I'm not worried about Khamzat and his fight. He hasn't beat one contender yet, James. Let's talk about facts and truth. You're talking about a guy in Colby Chaos Covington I've beaten UFC champion after UFC champion, 4 or 5 UFC champions on my resume, won a UFC title. So this is the most prestigious and biggest fights in the sport. You're talking about a guy who's fighting his first contender fight, a contender, and this is a guy that is not a true welterweight contender. He was getting knocked out by lightweights. Gilbert, he got knocked out by a lightweight. You shouldn't even be a contender, dude. So I'm not really worried about that fight, but whoever wins the fight at the UFC, that's what they want to do, and that's the business and the route they want to go. That's the, another easy money paycheck. I'm not really worried about it. Both guys are not on my level, and I'm the best pound for pound people's champion in the world right now. Nobody's gonna stop me, James. I'm in my prime. I'm getting better every single day. Man, my coaches, Cesar Carnero, amazing kickboxing coach. He's changed my game, leveled me up so beyond what I could have ever thought possible. So shout out to Cesar. Daniel Valverde, we're working on judo throws, trips, and just a lot of different game with the takedowns and the submissions, man. I'm going to start submitting these guys and finish them, showing who the best grappler in the entire world is. So shout out to Daniel Valverde. And I'm just, Jonathan Lopez, we're working strength and conditioning and just getting stronger and putting on, powerful, explosive muscles. So you haven't seen the best of me yet. I'm ready for them all. Whatever the UFC wants to do for the biggest money fights is what I can't wait to do. So everybody knows about my last numbers. I sold out T-Mobile Arena, one of the highest gates in the UFC history. So that's an amazing accomplishment to be a part of history again for the UFC. Just like I was history in November when I sold out Madison Square Garden. It was the fourth highest gate in the history of Madison Square Garden, that arena, the iconic, most famous, most world-known arena. So I love doing good business for the UFC and putting on the biggest and best shows. That's what we're going to keep doing. Stay tuned, everybody.
What do you make of the fact that it looks like Conor McGregor is going to get the winner of Charles Oliveira and Justin Gaethje, with Islam Makhachev, them saying that, hey, you had to take the RDA fight and now we're going to make you fight someone else?
I mean, I'm not sure if that's actually going to happen. I think Conor's going to fight Nate, man. That's the biggest money fight the UFC can do. I mean, it's what, their trilogy? I mean, they need to close that chapter. So I think that's the fight that's going to happen. It's the fight that makes the most sense for the UFC, and then if he wants to fight for the title after that, yeah, no problem. He can go fight for the title. He has the biggest name, is in the UFC for, he won world titles across 2 weight classes, and he did this mega fight with a boxing superstar, Floyd Mayweather, and created just ridiculous numbers. So I think that guy has the leverage and the name to be able to do and pick and call and choose his shots. So that's what he'll do. Whatever shot he wants to do, he's going to call it and he's going to get to do it. So it's just, that's how life is, and it is what it is. That's how it goes. But when you put together a resume like his, there's no reason to complain at it.
What do you make of Tony Ferguson returning against Michael Chandler?
I mean, two guys. I promise I've never watched one fight before. I mean, could give a fuck less. I mean the guy's old. I mean.
Well, someone you do know, Jon Jones. I got to mention this just because we haven't talked since the tweet came out. He says, my fiance left me about 2 months ago. Today I finalized that she won't be coming back. If you're a Jon Jones hater, have a toast. I feel like shit.
Yeah, I was giving him honest information. He likes to beat her a lot, and a couple of times he left her bloody. But I guess he finally beat some sense into her. So she finally became to her senses that she needed to leave him. He's a dirtbag. He's a scumbag. I mean, look at the guy. He's just a complete criminal felon, just piece of shit, demonic person. So, I'm happy that she finally took the right measures and is getting some help in her life. So, Johnny, that story's not going to end well, James. I promise you. When you have that type of, just story, career fuck up, like, you're just going to continue to have the same mistakes repeat themselves. He's not learning from any of his mistakes. So that story's going to end well, or not going to end well, and I'm sure there's going to be some really bad headlines about that in the near future.
A lot of people wanted to see you and Jorge Masvidal as the Ultimate Fighter coaches, and instead we're getting Amanda Nunes and Juliana Pena. What was your reaction to that? Because I think a lot of people felt like it should have been you and George.
Yeah, George knows that he wasn't going to be able to put up with me for that long. I would have beat him up every single day on the show, and then the shows, there would have been some lawsuits. So I didn't want to have to hurt him and drop him on his head on the show. So he's the one that denied it. I wanted to give the people what they wanted, James. I wanted to go on that show, bring some entertainment back to Tough, bring some controversy, some truth and facts and honesty, but brutal honesty, back to the Ultimate Fighter. But he didn't want to do it. He declined it, and he didn't want to have to be coached against me and for that amount of time for the taping. I think it's like 6 or 8 weeks or something like that. So it sucks we couldn't give the people what they want, but I'm going to keep giving the people what they want and doing the best I can on my end.
You've talked a bit about it, but I wanted to go a little bit further with this. This whole thing that happened with Joe Rogan, with him getting removed from commentary on 271. What did you make of, the whole situation of basically people trying to cancel him?
Yeah, fuck cancel culture. I've always hated cancel culture. They tried to cancel me, but they can't. I'm not cancelable. I'm a winner. I keep winning, and you can't stop my destiny because I put my destiny in my own hands, and I work hard, and and you can't stop me. It's undeniable. So with Joe, it's the same thing. They're coming after and trying to attack him and bring up his past, and take things out of context and this and that. So I wasn't cool with it. I showed my support for him, and I know he's going through a tough time, but he's going to get through it, and things are going to be good, and people are going to respect him more because of it. So just wanted to say, thanks for coming back, Joe Rogan. And it was great to have him back calling our fight.
I don't know if you've been following this or not, but just your reaction to this whole situation with Cain Velasquez.
We all talk about this all the time, and I don't have kids, but I know, I got coaches that have kids, and I know a lot of friends that have kids, and I feel like, another father to them, So if we talk about this all the time, if someone actually did that to our kids and was molesting our kids for an extended period of time, you're going to find that molester and you want to kill him. You're going to kill him. You're going to find out wherever he's at. You're going to wait for him outside with a gun and put a pistol, put a bullet in the back of his head. So, Cain he actually did that. He did what we were all thinking. He chased this guy down. He shot him. He didn't kill him, but, he should have killed him. I mean, you molest a kid. That's disgusting, James. That's despicable. That's, you can't come back from that. And that's just so wrong, man, to mess with our kids. Oh, man, that's just, it's so disgusting. So, I support Cain. I think that he should be freed, and I'm hoping that the president will give him a pardon. If there's any guy up to get a pardon, Cain should be the guy, man. He did what we all were thinking and would have done as well. So, man, free Cain Velasquez. God bless, brother. Hopefully you come out soon.
Normally you're the one who's in the headlines for controversial stuff, but I think there's someone that's kind of triumphing you. And I don't know if you pay attention to this or not, but what do you make of Sean Strickland?
Who's that? What's her name?
Sean Strickland. He's a middleweight fighter. He used to fight in your weight class. He fought Usman.
Oh, really? That's interesting. Must be. I don't know. I've literally never heard of him. I didn't know there was. Is that a girl? That's a guy, you said?
It's a guy. Yeah, he trains at Extreme Couture. Yeah. Okay, no worries. I had to ask anyways. Just one more thing on opponents. You talked about, Dustin and Israel Adesanya. I know you want to fight. I know you want to keep active. Is Stephen Wonderboy Thompson an option for you just in terms of the name value? I know he's lost a few, but still, I know that's a fight that I think fans would be interested in just because of both your names. You guys are both big name fighters.
I mean, he hasn't accomplished a quarter of what I've accomplished in this sport, but, if the UFC wants to give me more easy money paychecks, James, I'm always down to take easy money paychecks, but the guy is not credible anymore. He has no legit wins. He's coming off a losing streak. You're talking about the biggest and best pound for pound number one, welterweight fighter in the world. So, he drives kids around in a karate van, James. I mean, what's the honor in that? I mean, his daddy should have put him in American wrestling. What the fuck was he doing, thinking that he's going to take him around in a karate van with little kids and put little belts on, these little fake belts that they give to each other, and think that he's going to be actually a winning fighter. So not really. I mean, whatever. The UFC is not going to pay me to get an easy fight like that, James.
Okay. No, I was just curious. And last sort of question here. I know you're going to be doing the post-fight celebrations in Miami, but any plans of going back to Oregon between now and your next fight? Because I know obviously, your family's there and everything.
Yeah, definitely going to get out there in the next probably month or two, end of spring, early summertime. So want to give a shout out to my alma mater, Thurston Wrestling, the team that created me, Springfield, Oregon, Thurston, Oregon, more importantly. So, I love that community and just the people out there. It's a small town, but everybody rallies around each other and just good, wholehearted people, genuine people. So you don't really see that as much in Miami. I love being the king of Miami and being down here with all my South Beach mamacitas, but nothing like genuine, real people in Oregon who, genuinely care about you. So I'm hoping I can get out there soon. And I got to go see my boy Cam Haynes, James. I don't know if you know Cameron Haynes.
I do. We brought this up in one interview. I know you work with him, and he's a big reason why your conditioning is what it is. I know you've worked with him extensively.
I've worked with him extensively, not just on the physical side, on the running, the training, the hard work, the lifting, but just on the mental side as well. That guy, his approach to life and just working hard every single day is just different. So, shout out to Cam Haynes. Keep hammering. And God bless you, brother. God bless America.
How would you describe your relationship with Dan Lambert right now? Because I know, again, you guys were very close. He used to manage you. How would you say things are right now?
I'd say things are fine. I have no ill will towards Dan Lambert. He's a great person. I think that, he's a hard worker, very smart mind, intelligent guy. So, it was weird that he wasn't in the building. I thought he would be in the building to at least see me, my rise to kingdom and stardom. So it sucks, it's just, nothing but love to that guy. I would say it's a fine relationship. I don't know how mad if he's mad. I just be his top dog.
No, I don't think so. I spoke to him a little while ago. I know things were cool. I was just curious, kind of seeing how things went, because obviously leaving the gym, I mean, and obviously leaving him as for manager, obviously there could be some things there, but it sounds like things are good. So
Yeah, no, things are good, man. Love Dan Lambert, great fucking person, and hope he's doing fucking well.
And big pro wrestling fan, Scott Hall, unfortunately leaving us this week. Your favorite memory of his?
Man, I don't have a ton of Scott Hall memories, but I remember he was tag team with Jeff Jarrett for like a match or something, and I loved watching that growing up. So, man, rest in peace.
Colby, thanks for doing this, man. Enjoy St. Patrick's Day. If there's anyone you want to thank, any sponsors, any social media, I'll give you the last word.
Shout out to my boy Luigi Girardi, man. He's freshening me up with the best and finest suits, Italian, threads that the game has to offer. So hit him up at Sartoria, Napoli, Girardi. Luigi Girardi, hit him up on Instagram. The guy's a genius. He's a wizard with the suits and the threads and the materials if you're trying to be styling and profiling. So if you want to have, a suit that costs more than most people's house, hit up my boy. So shout out Bang Energy, Jack Owuck in the building. God bless you, brother. Thank you for the great drinks, booze. It's the hydration sensation. It's taking over the sports drinks market. And just shout out to, the people I care about most, military, law enforcement, first responders, and everybody in America that fights for our freedoms and puts it all on the line to keep us free here in the States.